The PM responding to rumors of an early election, the PLP unveiling their economic recovery and development plan, and the Minister of Education urges parents to take this pandemic seriously. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tyler Simnet with your Jcn News for this Monday, March 8th. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis addressing the rumors of an early election yet again, this time telling those who are speculating that the election will come sooner than May 2022 to continue to observe. The Prime Minister made these comments during his visit to Great Harbour Key in the Berry Islands last Friday.
The FNM is a team, we're a party, we're a government, and we discuss various different things before we bring it forward. So when we talk about the election's not due until May of 2022. But it's a matter that still has to be discussed, even if we decided to bring it in April 2022, February 22. They have to be ready.
The Prime Minister expressed that he thought it was great that there was so much interest in the elections and that now the Free National Movement has a lot of things to get done, and he assumes that the opposition will be on the ground doing some work also. Dr. Minnis has previously said that calling an early election is not a decision he will make on his own, and he must be advised by his team on that matter. The Progressive Liberal Party unveiling their economic recovery and development plan if they were to become the next government. A 10-point plan that is meant to bring about policies to work together with revolutionizing the country's economy. And with that plan comes a proposed decrease in value-added tax of 10% for 1 year. Deputy Leader of the PLP, Chester Cooper, says this plan is a core part of the party's blueprint for change.
One of the most important things we can do as a country is to stop making self-defeating decisions. We have lost already much needed revenue because of a cascade of poor decisions. The revenue downturn began in 2017, even though Bahama had opened successfully and the US economy was booming. Much of the blame lies with the sharp increase in VAT, which meant that people had less to spend, and therefore the government earned less. The increase in VAT put the basics out of reach for many ordinary Bahamian families.
In 2015, value-added tax was introduced in the country by the Christie administration. At the time, it was proposed that VAT be at 15%. However, it came at the rate of 7.5% after consultation. In 2018, the Free National Movement administration increased VAT to 12%. The Minister of Finance at the time, Peter Turnquest, said the increase was meant to address the country's fiscal issues and help the government avoid a crisis.
Increasing the tax burden for our ordinary Bahamians will be more immoral and terrible economic policy. We will instead reduce VAT to a rate of 10% across the board. This is not a huge difference, but it will put consumers in a position to afford a little more of what they need, which will help get the economy going again. The government receipts are likely to increase as more transactions will yield more VAT payments. We plan to reassess this rate after a period of 1 year.
The party's leader, Philip Davis, says that the PLP's economic plan doesn't have a solution to every problem. However, he notes it's time to create a plan with potential.
It isn't enough to talk about the orange, blue, and green economies. It's time for comprehensive policies that allow us to realize their potential. Let's open a school of visual, performing, and recording arts to unleash Bahamian creative talent. Let's make Jonquillo world famous and create an export industry for our music, costumes, and art. Let's host world-class cultural events and make our extraordinary Bahamian culture the competitive advantage that attracts visitors and investments.
Mr. Cooper, in his presentation of the PLP's economic plan, says there is an urgent need to stabilize the public finances, adding that their first step would be to conduct a full rapid assessment of the public finances to know the true state of things. He says they aim to have that completed within the first 15 days. Meantime, the PLP deputy leader also revealing as a part of the party's economic plan what they intend to do to assist in the fight against COVID-19. Mr. Cooper says with nearly half of the population unemployed or underemployed, the staggering reality means there is pain and suffering across the country. He says they have a moral duty to bring immediate relief to the thousands who, through no fault of their own, find themselves in dire circumstances. He says the PLP will offer free testing to all Bahamians, eliminate restrictions not based on science, strengthen isolation protocols in clinics and hospitals, increase the speed of contact tracing to stop new outbreaks, and engage in a public education campaign to give Bahamians the information they need to mitigate their risks, especially through improved ventilation in their homes, churches, and places of business. The party also intends to provide free COVID-19 vaccines to all Bahamians who wish to take them. This would require funding to purchase vaccines directly at market rates rather than wait for a subsidized cost vaccine like the COVAX mechanism. He contends that while everyone is tired of COVID, it is irresponsible to pretend that vaccinations will magically make things better overnight. New, more transmissible variants have been found in many countries around the world, and Florida is leading in the United States with case numbers of these new variants. Mr. Cooper adds that we should not wait for a repeat of last July and August, when a small number of cases exploded into thousands, as the country cannot afford to repeat that disaster. As the one-year anniversary of the COVID-19 pandemic here in the Bahamas approaches, Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd admits that the crucial loss of learning for school-age children globally may be irrecoverable. Schools across the country closed their doors on March 15th last year, immediately transferring to online instruction. Minister Lloyd says that because of the pandemic and the late completion of national exams, schools last year opened on October 5th, approximately 1 month after they were supposed to. He adds that this pandemic has exposed the challenges in securing equitable access for all Bahamian students, as many Bahamian families were unable to afford a device to access online learning.
I have found in some schools, gratefully, that there are as many as 90% of the students online every day getting their instructions. Sadly, in some other schools, participation is less than 50%. This is not only dangerous for the child, of course it is, but also for society.
That said, Minister Lloyd also makes this plea to parents.
We don't understand, appreciate that education is critical. It's the great equalizer. This is nothing to trifle with. But we have to take it seriously. We cannot be investing in name brands, clothes and things, and 2,000 iPhones, and claim that you don't have money to buy a device, or to pay for uniforms, or to provide lunch. We see this in our schools on a daily basis. Ask the teachers. Misplaced priorities, primarily by parents.
Minister Lloyd says that he's proud of those parents despite the challenges brought through the COVID-19 pandemic, as they have ensured that their children still have a quality education. He says this much during his contribution to the mid-year budget debate in the House of Assembly this morning. You're watching Jcn News. When we return, the first batch of vaccines for the country has been delayed. A 35-year-old male faces the courts on a number of drug-related charges, and efforts continue to locate an aircraft that crashed near Salina Point and its 2 occupants.